Hi guys, Mark here with Walter's World, and we're at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, Tennessee, the Volunteers with their amazing stadium behind us. And today what we have are the 5 things you're going to love and hate about studying abroad in the United States. Okay? Now I have videos on studying abroad in Europe, studying abroad in Asia, but I'm actually a professor by trade. Okay, not here at the University of Tennessee, but at another university. And I have a lot of exchange students that come for a semester or for a year and take my class. And so I thought, well, you know what? We need to focus on the U.S. So what we have today are the 5 things you're going to love and hate about studying in the U.S. Now, this will give you a little rough idea before you come to the U.S. what to watch out for and what things you're going to love. Now, I always like to get the bad news out of the way first, so let's start with the first thing. Guys, the first thing you're going to hate about studying in the U.S. is you're going to have to do a lot of work. In the U.S., in our system, there's a lot of homework. There's a lot of projects. There's a lot of exams. For example, in my class, they have 3 exams during the semester. They have multiple projects. They have to work with companies. So it's not like in Germany where literally you don't go to class all semester and can just take the exam. Oh, no. You have to go to class, participate, be there, all kinds of stuff. So it's not easy, okay? So just be prepared for that. And also in that way, as I know when I taught in Portugal and I taught in Brazil and other places, exchange students kind of got a little bit of a leeway, like, oh, you just get an A or a B or whatever just for being there. It doesn't work that way here in the U.S. In the U.S., you are treated as a normal student, so there's no exchange student discount, okay? So be careful with that. The second thing you're not going to like about studying in the U.S. is a lot of the major universities, the University of Tennessee, we're in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's not Memphis with Elvis. It's not Nashville with, the music scene there. It's Knoxville. And usually major universities in the U.S. are not in the Chicagos and New Yorks. They're in small towns that are basically university cities. Now, that means that usually the whole town and city is focused on the university, so there's a good community spirit, but if you're expecting to go see the Statue of Liberty and all these things, you're not going to have as many of those opportunities because the really good universities are usually not in big cities. Now, having said that, there are some really good universities in big cities, but overall, if we're looking in generalities, you're most likely going to be in a small town like Champaign, Illinois, or Athens, Georgia, or here in Knoxville, which are nice places, but they're not the famous U.S. cities you're used to. So that's the second thing you're going to hate. Now, the third thing you're going to hate is one that I see quite often in my classes is that, guys, a lot of the U.S. students, well, they'll be really friendly to you and they'll want to get to know you, and I'll talk about in the loves, but they might not want to work with you because what happens is U.S. students are really focused on their grades, okay? And they feel, oh, an exchange student, one, they're here to party and have fun. Maybe their English isn't that good. They're not going to try as hard. And so they get really worried about their grades. So a lot of times they don't want to work with the exchange students. Now, they'll want to be your friends and meet up with you, so make sure you have some fun stories, but they might not want to work with you. So be careful with that. Show them, look, I'm going to take the class seriously, do the project seriously, be part of the discussions so you can help them out, and that'll go a long way. But just realize it might be hard to really get into a group or getting students to want to work with you when you're here because they'll see you as an exchange student that's just here to have fun. Now, the fourth thing you're not going to like is that you're coming to the U.S. and you get this course catalog for all the classes on offer. Hundreds of classes. Thousands of classes at these universities, but the problem is you can't take all of them. They have class restrictions. I know I teach in the College of Business where I work, and I teach 3 different courses. Only 2 of those courses are opened up to exchange students, and each of those have limits. Only 10% of the spots are reserved for exchange students. So there's a lot of restrictions in classes, so even though it's on the course catalog, you might not get into the class. So make sure you can get into the classes you want before you go, because otherwise you might come thinking, oh, I'm going to get advanced marketing management, and you find out it's not available to you. So that's another thing that's going to not be so cool about it. And the fifth thing you're not going to like about studying in the U.S. is, guys, the U.S. is huge, okay? So you get all these breaks, Thanksgiving break and winter break and spring break and all these things, and you want to go places. I want to go to San Francisco. I want to go to New York. Well, guys, we're in Knoxville, Tennessee. If you want to drive to Chicago, well, you've got 10 hours drive to Chicago. Oh, I want to go to Miami. Guys, you got another 10 hours that way driving. If you want to fly, it can get pretty expensive to fly. There's no EasyJet or Virgin Blue here in the U.S. So flying around and getting around can be very expensive. Okay, so that's the fifth thing I don't like, is that it's expensive to go see all the cool stuff in the U.S., but it's cool because you can go see it, but I'll talk about in the loves. Oh, there's one more thing I want to add, and we're at Ole Miss, or the University of Mississippi, and the last thing I want to mention about things you're not going to like about the U.S., in addition to those other 5, is the price. Studying in the U.S. is extremely expensive. Now, luckily, if you're on a study abroad program, usually you pay the fees that you pay in your home country. Because in the U.S., universities can cost tens of thousands of dollars just for tuition every year. Public schools tend to be a little bit cheaper than private schools, but if you're not a state or an out-of-country student, a lot of times it doesn't matter. The prices can be very high. And for exchange students or study abroad students, even if you don't pay those higher fees, you still have to buy your books and your supplies, and sometimes you can spend literally $1,000 for one semester of books. Now, usually now you can rent them for lower prices or sell them back at the end of the semester to get some of your money back. But just know that it can be extremely pricey to study in the U.S., okay? So those are the hates. Hey guys, so I'm back, and now we're at the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia, a fantastic town in the South, fun place to be, good university, fun time. And that's why we're here talking about the 5 things you're going to love about studying in the U.S. as an exchange student. And guys, the first thing you're going to love is the college experience. There's something about U.S. colleges that are very different than ones in Europe and Asia. I mean, I've taught in China, I've taught in Portugal, Lithuania, Brazil, all over the world. And guys, there's something about the U.S. college experience with wearing your, University of Georgia t-shirts or, going to the football games. I mean, people go crazy for this stuff, painting their faces, going crazy. You see that bell up there? Guys, here at the University of Georgia, people like to go ring the bell before the game. They make a line up there because this whole college experience of going to the parties, the frat parties or the whatever parties. Guys, there's so many organizations at these universities. If you like chess, there's a chess club. If you like Skylanders, there's a Skylanders club. If you like underwater basket weaving, they have that. And U.S. universities, that whole experience is just something that if you come to the U.S. and you have it, you really truly understand it. And one of the great parts about that experience are the people that are here, and you do get to meet, other students that aren't just other foreign students. You get to meet the U.S. students and have a great time with them and how friendly they are. It all comes together to make this great U.S. college experience that you don't have anywhere else, because these universities are in towns that are only for the university, so everything's basically there for you as a student, and it's great that way. So you have that fantastic college experience, and with that comes number 2, understanding the U.S. culture. When you come here and study with Americans, you're going to be studying with the people that are going to be running businesses, running industry, running schools and stuff like that, and you get a better understanding of U.S. culture. So when you watch the news, you understand when they have protests or when people are fighting about stuff or politicians aren't getting along, because it really does explain it to you a lot better when you have that experience here. So there's the college experience is number 1, and understanding U.S. culture is number 2. Now, the third thing you're going to like about studying in the U.S. is, guys, there's a lot of diversity at universities in the U.S. It's not just one type of person. There's all kinds of people at these things. So if you're missing home, remember that 3rd month homesickness, and you want tremosos from Portugal, lupin beans, if that's what they're called in Italy, lupini, you can get those. You want to have, oh, I'm from Germany, I want a beer from home. You can get that. You want to have, real food from Shanghai. They have that at these universities because there's usually a huge cultural melting pot at these universities, professors and students and all kinds of stuff, and that allows for these small towns to have a very international feel to them, so you can get the diversity that you want. So when you miss home, you can have that pizza like Mama used to make, well, like the pizzeria by Mama's house used to make, or you can have the bratwurst or whatever. And that's what's really cool, is you have all this diversity on campuses in the U.S., so you don't just see one version of the U.S., you see different versions of the U.S., and you see different versions of the world, because people come to study in the U.S. from all over. So you'll meet students from the U.S., from China, from Germany, from Italy, from Australia. I mean, these are people I had this year in class alone. And that cultural diversity really brings a lot to U.S. universities that you don't see other places. And I've taught other places, and I can verify for that one. The 4th thing you're going to like about studying at the U.S. universities is actually the studying part of it, because it's practical-based learning. I've taught in Europe, and I've taught, in South America and in Asia, and people kind of expect to just have me basically open a book and read to them. We don't do that in the U.S. In the U.S., it's more practical based. So my students, I'm teaching them for the job they're going to have, not the theory behind what they might be doing, but we actually go and work with companies, and that's what you'll see is you actually get a feel for what it's like to be in the real world. You do a lot of case studies which discuss situations of other companies and what they did, and you have to figure out what you should do if you were there. Or like I said, you're working with companies, actually going to their offices and working with them, and this is something that you don't get a lot in other countries. Germany, sometimes you have that, I've seen that, but you don't get it other places, and that hands-on learning is something that really will change you when you're here, and it'll give you a much better understanding of the working world, so when you go out and get your job back home, you're ready to go day one. And that's one thing I think is fantastic about the U.S. education system. And the fifth thing you're going to love about studying in the U.S. is, guys, the U.S. is huge. You can go travel. Guys, we have lots of vacations in the U.S. Like, I'm a professor, okay? I get a month, and I have the same schedule as students, okay? So I get a month off at Christmas time. I get a week off at Thanksgiving. I get a week off in spring break. I get the whole 3 months off at summer. So you get all this time off to go travel. People ask me, Mark, how do you travel so much? It's like, well, I have the time off because I'm a professor. And as a student, you can take spring break and go to Daytona Beach in Florida, or go to Texas or Lake Havasu or wherever, Cancun, and you can go have a party and go travel around during these breaks. And the U.S. is huge. So if you want to go clubbing in San Francisco, you can go there. And if you want to go to see the Statue of Liberty in New York, you can go there. And you can travel around, and there's no restrictions. So once you have your visa to the U.S., you can go anywhere in the U.S. So take that opportunity to travel. That's one thing. When I have exchange students in my classes, they ask me, Mark, where should we go? And I say, how much time do you have? Okay, talk to your professors. Usually they might be okay if you miss one class or something like that, if you want to take a long weekend. But take the opportunity to see America when you're here, because it is huge and it is beautiful. Whether you're here in Georgia, you go down to Savannah, this beautiful southern belle of a city, or you go to Chicago, an industrial heartland, or you go to go out to San Francisco and see the Golden Gate Bridge or the Grand Canyon. There's so much great diversity in terms of what to see in the U.S., and you get that opportunity while you're here, because you do get to travel a lot in this great country. So I hope that helped you get ready to study in the U.S. I hope I haven't scared you off. I hope you can take my class one day. Who knows what I'll be teaching next. But if you want to learn more about studying abroad here in the U.S. or in Europe, Asia, or traveling the U.S. or Europe or Asia, check us out at our website at waltersworld.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. And if you have any questions about studying abroad or anything, please leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, for parents of kids studying abroad, if you have questions, feel free to write me. We'll do what we can to help. So, bye from the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia. Fun place to be. I'm going to go ring the bell now. Bye. So, you see the bell up there? Here we go. Trying to ring the bell. Oh, I can't get it. Wait, maybe we will. Ha 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 ha! I got it. Oh, there's another one. U.S. universities, they're crazy.